Tulikuwa tunajua kwamba uamuzi ama maelekezo yangetolewa hapo saa 5:30. Ndugu yangu ambaye alikuwa amefika mahakamani hapo awali mbele yetu alitujulisha kwamba mahakama ilikuwa tayari kutoa uamuzi. Hiyo ilikuwa hapo saa 4, na tukamweleza kwamba ingekuwa bora aeleze mahakama kwamba mawakili watakuja kulingana na jinsi mahakama ilikuwa imeagiza saa 5:30, na kwa hivyo ile file iwekwe kando hadi saa 5:30 ambapo wote tutakuwa tumefika mahakamani na tuchukue maelezo ya mahakama. Lakini ni kama ombi letu la kuja mahakamani saa 5:30 mahakama ilivyokuwa imeagiza alikufaulu, na kwa hivyo mahakama ikatoa uamuzi kuhusu kesi ile ya Brian wakati mawakili wanaowakilisha. I want to say this categorically. Those of us, I was leading this matter, I'd requested that the file be placed aside so that I be in court myself, even with my clients, so that then we could take the ruling. Although a colleague of mine who was there had to anyway hold my brief even when I was away. I've had to come to court now. I made an inquiry about that ruling, and the court told me a colleague held my brief and it has already delivered its ruling. I've heard what my colleague who was there holding my brief said. He said the court ruled that it is persuaded that the DCIO Nakuru East Sub-County, the in charge, KWS, do not know where Brian is, and therefore they are unable to produce him. Well, that is all the information I have in respect to that ruling. Of course, I would have wanted to have a look at it and then be able to advise my clients accordingly. Be that as it may, on the preliminaries, this is what I would have to say. Number one, as the mood is and the instructions I have received from my clients is that we are not satisfied with that decision. We are not satisfied with that decision. May it go on record. My clients are not satisfied with the decision of the court in finding that the KWS in charge and the DCIO Nakuru East do not have Brian and therefore can't produce him. My clients believe there is overwhelming evidence, the evidence of eyewitnesses, that Brian is in the hands of the KWS officers and that they have either way to produce him. And so instantly, my instructions are fourfold. Number one, we may consider to move the court to review its decision. Number two, if that decision for that route for review is not so good for us, we'll consider an urgent appeal. We are also considering going for an inquest to the forced disappearance of Brian. We'd also move to see whether the family of Brian can get compensation, although we know that no compensation would really assuage their anger, their grief at this point in time. But we are going to move with the speed. In fact, from now on, after we are done here, moving with a team of lawyers, we are going to sit down and have our court papers ready. Tomorrow or the day after, everything should be ready for filing, because nothing is as urgent as life of Brian now. Yes. We must actually know where Brian is, and if we do not know, we must have an explanation as to the whereabouts of Brian. And that is the position for now, unless you have questions for me. I'm here with my colleague, is Omwanza. I'm also here with my other colleague. It's called Wanjir. I'm here supported by our friends from the Human Rights Defense Wing. We have Mr. Kimori. He is called Engineer Kimori. We have Khalid here. We have Tom. I have David Korea Western. I had a colleague here from IMLU. We had also Mheshimiwa Gikaria, who's been really standing with the family of Brian, his constituent, and we are grateful for all the efforts that he's been making and all of us have been making in this quest. I would have wanted to still appeal for calm, noting that this is really an emotive issue, I would understand the reaction of Mama Brian, the wife, and the friends, and even the children of Brian. Even as we get involved in this task, I would appeal to those who are in the decision-making organs, those who are tasked with making, decisions in these things. We had indicated to the court at first, even as we filed this petition, that this is a matter that has attracted immense public interest. Even as we say this is not in any way to blackmail anyone to make a decision in a particular way or another. But we wish those who have been tasked with the responsibility of making such decisions to be alive to the fact that some matters as this attract immense public interest and emotions. And they should therefore, as they tap mercy with justice, emotion too would inform how they make their decisions. I also wish to urge our friends, I'm calling them friends because that is what they should be. They should actually act with utmost restraint. I'm no politician, but I would say this with a clear mind. Police belong to the people. We have seen not so good a picture a few minutes ago. It would appear that it's the police sometimes who incite the public to unrest. Yes. We would say this, our friends. We live in a country that we deserve each other. Okay? Ultimately, the police are our neighbors. They are our brothers. They are our sisters. They are our friends. We still urge them. We'll continue urging them. At the end of the day, when you no longer have a pay slip, you'll come back home. It is us who will receive you. At the end of the day, when things go south for you, you'll come back to the community. I'll say this from the deepest part of my heart. I expect that our brothers, even as they exercise their mandates, they do so with a lot of restraint. You do not have to harass a woman who's already grieving. She does not deserve such kind of treatment. You do not have to harass a wife who's mourning. She deserves better than that. Can we treat each other as human beings first? Thank you so much. Unless there's a question for me? Yes.
A question.
Yes.
Okay. Even if there is protocols
Yes.
of rulings,
Yes.
but the reality is
Yes.
Brian
Yes.
was taken
Yes.
by KWS.
Yes. Yes.
Then there is that protocol na hiyo mpangilio mko nayo ya kufanya kesi na nini na nini. Do you remember hivyo tu tunakuja tunafunikwa and then hiyo kitu inaenda hivyo tunasahau. So let us do this. Unaona Brian ila akuwe mhai ama kwa wapi hii muda tumewapea imekuwa muda mkubwa mrefu sana.
Okay.
Yeah, tuache tu story.
May I say this? One, I appreciate the emotions that this matter has elicited. That's number one. But our country is a country of laws. Very well. And so even as we pursue the issue of Brian, I'm not the lawyer who would advise us to go extra legal. I do not know whether I'm making sense. But I will not be the one who will tell us to take the law into our hands. Even the devil deserves their day in court. The devil deserves a chance at the seat of justice. Can we all have faith? I'm still appealing to you. Can we have faith in the judicial process? It may not have happened today. We often say the wheels of justice grind, albeit slowly sometimes. But at the end of the day, they grind anyway towards justice. We have here at the High Court, we have all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to get there. You get me? She indicates we could even go to the ICC. We have all those channels. Why can't we pursue them? But we also appreciate the pressure you're putting as a community and as the media. We must have an accountable police service. We appreciate the pressure you're putting. We must have an accountable police service. I hope I've really responded to your question. But I will urge the members of the public, even as we agitate over these issues, we can only be as good for Brian if we also maintain peace and calm and allow the wheels of justice to grind. Yes.
Exactly. Is it procedural, like to give the judgment in the absence of a day?
We honestly don't understand what the hurry was about. We do not understand why the good judge was in a hurry. I wouldn't cast aspersions. It was only courteous of us to request that the ruling be delivered in our presence. For some reason, I wouldn't know if the judge was pressed of time because he had other matters to really address, but I wouldn't have an excuse for him. In our view, it should have been better if the ruling were delivered in our presence and in the presence of our clients so they understand the reasoning of the court.
As per the time.
As per the time that the court had indicated. Why it would deliver a ruling earlier than that and then just say you'll get the ruling on the CTS, all that. It puts counsel and all of us at an awkward position. Now I have to wait until I have the ruling so that I can advise my clients. It's a little disconcerting. And it was, in my view, a little low. It was a little low. Yes. If there is no other question for us, now you'd allow us to move with the family so that we have a discussion on the way forward. Thank you so much, and you have a good day.
Khalid. One word, Mheshimiwa, please.
I had talked earlier, but as counsel has indicated, we are extremely disappointed by the decision of the court. It is our firm belief that there's been a grave miscarriage of justice, and we have set a very bad precedent with this particular decision. What it means is that police can come and arrest me today and even confirm to the court that they arrested me and do what they want to do. And then tomorrow go to court and say, I ran away. And the court will side with the police and say, yes, there is no evidence that they had me. This is an extremely, extremely bad precedent. That's why we have insisted to the council to make sure that they appeal this decision. Because what it does is encourage impunity in the security agencies of this country. It is basically telling them, you do what you want to do, arrest, and whatever you want to do, just do it. But when you are brought to court, you can simply say, the suspect ran away. And the court will side with you. And they will say, yes, there is no evidence that you have them. So we are extremely, extremely disappointed. As I said, it's a grave miscarriage of justice. And the search for Brian continues. We are not giving up. Brayo lazima tumpate, dead or alive. Hapo lazima tuambie. We are not giving up. Hatutawacha, tutafuata every legal means there is until we confirm mahali Brayo yuko ama mwili wake kabisa. Thank you.
So, I don't know where to turn to after today. We are just hoping that I have been telling my people, the constituents, mama ya Brian, bibi yake, mandugu zake na marafiki zake, wawe watulivu tunapongoja haki kutoka mahakama. Na kwa mahakama ndio tunatarajia, kuna nafikiria ni Standard ran some headline, the grand cover up. I'm just hoping it has not found its way to the judicial system.
Yes.
Because how else now do I, when the KWS accepted they had Brian, whether by name or not, eyewitnesses, including the mother, who knows his son, she gave birth to her son. So she could not have mistaken. And she saw 6 KWS officers, assaulting, manhandling. And Brian was not arrested in KWS. Brian was arrested outside the fence. So the first place that they ought to have been taken Brian is Bondeni police station.
Yes.
And not to take him back to 5 kilometers. Secondly, and it is very sad, I have never expected this from a court of justice, that the DCI, which is a wing, or which is the department bestowed the responsibility to investigate, found the 6 officers culpable and recommended for their prosecution.
Yes.
Now, what does the DPP does? He sits on the file. What does how can a judge, I don't want to say that the judge was not right or was right or not right. But how then the lawyers requested, because we are not satisfied with the evidence given by the two people who gave evidence, the DCI and the in charge of KWS, were never present in the arrest of Brian. So the lawyers requested that those people who arrested or abducted Brian to be brought before court so that the judge could make an informed decision as to whether these guys are culpable and they should produce Brian dead or alive. Then I had the lawyers saying that the coordinates of the phone numbers for the 6 officers and Brian to be produced so that he could make an informed decision. Yes. Then what does he do? I called my lawyer. I was with Arama, my colleague from Nakuru Town West, pursuing this matter at the DCI, the CCIO's office. He was not in his office. We went to the ODPP's office, again to pursue why is it that their file, and Arama is not, I'm not alone in this thing. Arama has another file that happened some 6 months ago. Another child disappeared. There was a recommendation from DCI to charge KWS. That file was recalled back by ODPP for review. Then how do I make a decision, then review my own decision? We expected, just like any other person, I be charged, because there is a recommendation, by the investigating department, and then now the file, the ODPP can allow the justice system that will to move on. And if he thinks there is enough evidence to recall that file, then he can recall as the case was going on. But what happens? Now, Brian is nowhere. Eyewitnesses saw that, and they gave their evidence. It's unfortunate, as the lawyer has said, that the police officers who are supposed, how do a police officer, go to touch a woman and even almost undress her? We allow police women to handle women suspects or women whatever. Or a man, if it was a man now holding me or trying to force me out, I would say no problem. But how does a police officer go to hold an old woman, including the mother who is disabled, she's on the floor? Allow that person to grieve, allow that person to ventilate, allow that person to be able to think what the judge has said, and then just allow those people to live in peace. We have maintained peace, but now, what happens now? But as we have said, we will pursue this to the last place, the last court, and that is the Supreme Court. We are going to appeal, as it has been said. In my view, I wouldn't advise the lawyers to go back to that court. I wouldn't advise. We better go to the High Court. If we fail there, we'll go to the Court of Appeal, even to the Supreme Court. Now, I don't want to, I think I've seen a lot of issues, Kinahavi, the LSK, and other people now putting a lot of question mark on the judiciary. I think na ile kitu ilifanyika sometimes back where we were vetting judges afresh. I think we need now to go back to that and judge.
Yes.
We vet these judges again afresh. It was there. And why were they being vetted? So that you can be found whether you are corruptible or you can be able. Justice denied is justice delayed is justice denied. Na it is mimi ngoja tu tufuate mawakili kwenda kutafuta kwa Mama Brian. Nimekuwa na Mama Brian for the last 1 week kwake nyumbani. How I wish the judge would know what that woman is going through. How I wish mama bibi yake angeona vile anapitia na watoto wake. Msichana wake anasinda akiuliza baba alienda wapi. Na kama tungepewa mwili, hatuna maneno mingi. Si tungeazika tu tunapopasu. Lakini kwa sababu wameamua kwenda kwa hiyo barabara, tutaenda kwa hiyo barabara ya kuendelea kutafuta haki ya Brian. And I want to assure you, Mungu aliye juu mbinguni, Mungu aliye juu mbinguni atatutolea Brian. Wewe kama binadamu, wewe kama jaji, wewe kama watu ya KWS, na si mtu mmoja amekufa pale KWS. Ni wengi sana wamekufa. Na kama ni hivyo itasemekana ati kweli mtu ameshikwa, alafu kesho polisi watakushika, waseme ulitoroka, shughuli inaishia hapo, wewe tena unapotelea mbali. Tunasema tu hivi, mimi nitapasui mata to the last